Okay, Chuck, we are now live.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the December agenda of the Committee of Adjustment. I'll call the meeting to order. You all received the last month's minutes from Christine. Is there any queries, questions, omissions to do with those minutes? None? Can we get a motion to accept said minutes? Dave, Barry, Sean, accepted. At this time, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in any of the applications before you this evening? Dave?
No, I don't.
Barry? Sean?
None.
Dan?
None for me.
Okay. Too many darn pages here. All right, then we'll get to our first application, consent file 20-B03. Christine?
The subject application concerns lands municipally known as 1352 Concession 10 South and legally described as Concession 11 South Part Lot 22. The purpose of the application is to create a 49-year lease over the lands. The effect of the application is to create a lease over a 30-hectare, 74-acre area that would ensure the long-term use of the bike trail system that is utilized by Highlands Nordic. Comments were received by Hydro One, the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, Bev Matthews, Debbie and Norm Sampson, and Martin Ridlow. And I have a recommendation from the Planning Department. Be it resolved that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves the proposed lease on application 20B03 pertaining to lands at 1352 Concession 10 South, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the applicant meet all the requirements, financial and otherwise, of the municipality, including servicing bylaw charges and payment of the $150 fee for each certificate of consent to be issued. 2, that the applicant provides a description of the land which may be registered under the requirements of the Registry Act or Land Titles Act as applicable. And 3, that the lease agreement be established for a term of 49 years over the lands described in condition 2, that a copy of the executed and registered lease agreement be provided to the township. And that's all I have.
All right, at this time, Christine Loft, do you have anything to add to the file that we do not currently already see before us?
So good evening. I don't believe so. I think Rosalind's report is complete and does provide a bit of a history of what's happened since the October 14th date. So other than that, I think that was sort of the critical point from our first public meeting. Thank you.
Awesome, Christine. Moving back to our fine committee members. Does our committee members have any questions to Christine? Barry?
Hi, Christine. So I'm reading the report from the Niagara Escarpment, and it says that a decision has not been made yet. But then it says, should you have any questions, the NEC has no objections to the intent of the proposed. So do you have your development permit from the NEC?
Through the chair, no, we do not have it, but the applicant is working with the NEC on obtaining that permit.
Okay, I just want to, yeah, I don't see, I'm an NEC commissioner. I sit on that. I just don't remember this coming before us.
No.
And
Yeah,
I just
we're
wanted
working
to,
with staff now.
yeah, so, okay. Yeah, I see you're working with Judy Rhodes Monk. Okay,
Yes.
good. I don't see it being a problem either because it's a permitted use. So.
Dave, Raoul, do you have any comments?
I was just going to say that it looks like everybody is making a real effort to make this happen. And so that makes me quite pleased. From what I could see from some of the comments that were submitted, it seemed that parking along the side road should have been an issue or something like that, but that has nothing to do with the application. And I think there was even a mention about the condition of the road, but again, that has nothing to do with the application. I think that Rosalind has done an excellent job on this file, and I've got no concerns at all. I think it'll, with the willingness of everybody who's working on it, I think it's going to go through quite smoothly.
Sean, do you have any comments for Christine?
No, I concur with Dave. This, the actual use of the lands is outside of our authority. We'll allow the NEC to figure that out. This is just setting up the lease. So I see no issues.
Dan, you have any comments?
No, not really. No, it's been an ongoing battle, I guess, trying to get this to come together for them. So no, I have no problem with it.
All right, is there any parties on the Zoom call that have any comments they wish to make at this time, either for or against the file? Rosalind? You're muted, Rosalind.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to clarify that that if there are concerns with parking on that side road, that I would encourage all parties to get in touch with our bylaw enforcement officer or with our public works department, and not to, just because this doesn't necessarily relate to this application, I didn't want people to feel that we wouldn't address if there was a concern. So I just wanted to reiterate, and I think I did reiterate that in my comments, but that, you know, if people are experiencing issues with parking, please don't hesitate to report an issue, because of, you know, it doesn't make sense for cars to be blocking roads and such. So I just wanted to comment on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Rosalind. Anyone else looking to make a comment on this file? I see no hands up. Do we have a motion from the committee to accept this? Dave? All in favor? Carried. So, Christine, with this evening's vote of a carried successful application, there's a 20-day appeal period. And I thank you very much for your attendance in this process.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You too, Christine. Back to our Christine. Consent file 20B09.
And so if I might, Chairman, if I could read both applications, 20B09 and B10 as they are associated, if that works for everybody. So I'll read the first. The subject application concerns lands municipally known as 1912 and 2008 County Road 42. The purpose of the application is to sever a portion of land from 1912 County Road 42, which would be added to the budding property at 2008 County Road 42. Proposed severed parcel has no frontage. Overall, 6.67 hectares of vacant land. Retained parcel, approximately 310 meters of frontage on County Road 42. Overall, 15.9 hectares vacant land. The effect of the application is to facilitate a land exchange between two abutting landowners. The result will be a land exchange of 6.67 hectares, 16.4 acres. No new lots are being created, and as a result of the lot addition applications, the existing 3 lots will be reduced to 2 lots. And 20B10, the subject application concerns lands municipally known as 1870, 1912, and 2008 County Road 42. The purpose of the application is to sever a portion of land from 1870 County Road 42 to be added to the abutting property at 1912 County Road 42. Proposed severed parcel, 310 meters of frontage. Overall on County Road 42, 6.67 hectares vacant land. Retained parcel has no frontage. Overall 10.6 hectares vacant land. The effect of the application is to facilitate a land exchange between two abutting landowners. The result of the land exchange of 6.67 hectares, 16.4 acres. Again, no new lots are being created, and as a result of the lot addition applications, existing 3 lots will be reduced to 2 lots. We did receive comments from Hydro One and the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, and I have a recommendation from the Planning Department. Be it resolved that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves consent 20B09 pertaining to lands at 1912 County Road 42, formerly Nottawasaga, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the applicant meet all the requirements, financial and otherwise, of the municipality, including payment of the fee of $150 for each certificate of consent to be issued. 2, that the applicant provides a description of the land which may be registered under the requirements of the Registry Act or Land Titles Act as applicable. 3, that any mortgage on the property be discharged from any lands being severed, and that the solicitor provide an undertaking in writing that this condition will be fulfilled. 4, that the applicant successfully apply to the Committee of Adjustment for a minor variance to recognize an undersized farm parcel. The newly created 1912 County Road 42, after the lot addition application, will have a lot area of 22.2 hectares, where the bylaw requires 35 hectares. 5, that the applicant addresses all the conditions and requirements as required by the County of Simcoe to the satisfaction of the County of Simcoe. 6, that the property to be severed is conveyed into the same name as the owner of the abutting land to the west, the Mad River Golf Club, 2008 County Road 42, being assessed as roll number 4329-010-002-15702, and that the solicitor provide an undertaking in writing that this condition will be fulfilled, as well as merging the PIN numbers. 7, that the property to be retained be merged with the severed parcel to the north from application 20B10, that the solicitor provide an undertaking in writing that this condition will be fulfilled, as well as merging the PIN numbers. 8, that a 1 foot square from the receiving lands, 2008 County Road 42, the Mad River Golf Club, be conveyed to the County of Simcoe and or to the property addressed as 1912 County Road 42, and that the solicitor provide an undertaking in writing that this condition will be fulfilled, as well as merging the PIN numbers to have only 1 PIN number for the new parcel, should it be required. Be it resolved that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves consent 20B10 pertaining to lands at 1870 County Road 42, formerly Nottawasaga, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the applicant meet all the requirements, financial and otherwise, of the municipality, including payment of the fee of $150 for each certificate of consent to be issued. 2, that the applicant provides a description of the land which may be registered under the requirements of the Registry Act or Land Titles Act as applicable. 3, that any mortgage on the property be discharged from any lands being severed, and that the solicitor provide an undertaking in writing that this condition will be fulfilled. 4, that the applicant successfully apply to the Committee of Adjustment for a minor variance to recognize the undersized farm parcel, the newly created 1912 County Road 42, after the lot addition application, will have a lot area of 22.2 hectares, where the bylaw requires 35 hectares. 5, that the applicant address all the conditions and requirements as required by the County of Simcoe to the satisfaction of the County of Simcoe. 6, that the property to be severed is conveyed into the same name as the owner of the abutting land to the south, Julian, retained parcel in application 10B09, being assessed as roll number 4329-010-002-15800, and that the solicitor provide an undertaking in writing that this condition will be fulfilled, as well as merging the PIN numbers. 7, the property to be retained be merged to the property to the south, the Mad River Golf Club, 2008 County Road 42, being assessed as 4329-010-002-15702. That the solicitor provide an undertaking in writing that this condition will be fulfilled, as well as merging the PIN numbers. 8, that the address 1870 County Road 42 be removed from the system and will no longer exist. That the severed parcel be renamed 1912 County Road 42, the same address to the property to the south, in which it will be merged. 9, that a 1 foot square from the receiving lands, 2008 County Road 42, the Mad River Golf Club, is conveyed to the County of Simcoe and or the property being addressed as 1912 County Road 42, and that the solicitor provide an undertaking in writing that this condition will be fulfilled, as well as merging the PIN numbers to have only 1 PIN number for the new parcel, should it be required. And thankfully, that is all I have.
Thank you, Christine. Ms. Phillips, do you have anything to add to the file that we have not currently have before us?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Celeste Phillips. I'm a planning consultant, and with me this evening is Gary Ward. Gary's the general manager and chief operating officer of the Mad River Golf Club. The application, although there is a lengthy list of conditions, I think the staff report in front of you is very thorough. On page 7 and page 8 of that staff report gives you sort of a visual understanding of the land exchange that is proposed. I just wanted to add that we did have a pre-application meeting with the County of Simcoe, the township, and the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, and there are no objections to the land exchange today. It's really a boundary adjustment where one party is giving the other 16.5 acres and vice versa. And the one note I would make is that when your planning staff is looking at the application in detail, they realize that that center property owned by Mr. and Mrs. Cololian is currently undersized in terms of lot area. So we have committed to reappearing before you in 2021 and have filed a minor variance application to legalize that lot. We're not changing the size of the lot, we're just changing the configuration of that lot. And Gary, I don't know if you had anything to add?
Oh, super thorough work. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions if anyone has them.
All right, then. Mr. Burton.
Yes, I'm going to ask both Gary and Celeste that there is a whole list of conditions. I want to be ensured that you understand, Celeste, that your client understands all the terms of those conditions.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Burton, I do understand the conditions all but one. The one condition that I was just a bit flummoxed about today was the conveyance of the 1 foot square. But as Christine explained to me, that's something that arises because of a previous severance, I think. And to me, that's one of the mysteries of land transfers that is best left with the lawyers.
Yes, I can never quite figure that one out myself, and the wife had it explained to me several times.
Right.
They don't get 1 foot square, but as long as you understand those conditions, I'm in favor of the application.
Thank you.
Dave Rowell.
The only silly comment that I have is I'd like Christine to reread that, please. No, I'm only joking. I thought it was a very good report. Seems to be fairly straightforward. 6 plus acres, or hectares rather, for 6 plus hectares. Seems like a pretty good deal.
And it makes the Mad River Golf Club more consolidated in that they owned the property to the north and the property to the south, and there was this intervening property. So it does help the operation of the club.
Dan, any comments?
I was just curious why going through all this process to swap land. Do you have plans to use that land for something different in there? I'm just curious.
I can restart off, Gary, and then I'll turn it over to you. So the initial discussion we had with the county was related to Mad River Golf Club wanting to relocate their practice area. There was a bit of consternation from the county and concerns about the loss of agricultural land. So we pulled back from that a little bit just to say we're going to do the land transfer for now. It makes sense from an operational perspective, and I'll turn it to Gary about any immediate or long-term plans.
Yeah, I think really the club has always been interested in that 1912 parcel that was between the two pieces of property. And this just presented an opportunity that seemed to be a win-win for both parties. So, you know, the main reason for us really is to secure the property that's immediately adjacent to the right side of our first hole, which is where the tail end of the west side of the Cololian property abuts. And then, of course, as Celeste, or I think Christine mentioned, the idea of consolidating two of our parcels into one just made good sense to us. So.
All right.
Nothing further, Dan?
No, for now. Thank you.
All right, Sean?
No, I have no questions. Dan sort of asked what I was wondering.
All right, then. Do we have a motion? Is there anyone else in the audience this evening that has any comments they wish to make on this file? I see no hands up. Do we have a motion to accept these both B20, B09, and B10? Yes, Mr. Barry Burton. All in favor? Carried. Mr. Burton wished to speak.
Yes, I'm wondering why you're not requesting a seconder.
Oh.
Usually when we put forth a motion, then we have to request a seconder, and then we vote.
Dave, would you like to be the seconder in that, since you were the first hand I saw up? I will
Sure,
amend
no problem. I'll volunteer to be a seconder.
I will amend that practice, sir. All right, then. I thank you very much. There is a 20-day appeal period, Celeste and Mr. Ward. I thank you for your participation this evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening.
Yep. Thank you for your time. Have a great evening.
And last but not least, Christine, minor variance file 20-A15.
The subject application concerns lands municipally known as 7760 County Road 9. The purpose of the application is to request the approval of the Committee of Adjustment to allow for the expansion of a legal nonconforming use and the reconstruction and expansion of a legal nonconforming building. The effect of the request is to replace two legal nonconforming barn structures with one larger barn. The reconstructed barn would be rebuilt in the general location of the two legal nonconforming buildings. Comments were received from Hydro One and Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority. And I do have a recommendation from the Planning Department that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the minor variance 20A15 pertaining to lands at 7760 County Road 9, Creemore, and legally described as west part of Lot 10, Concession 5, formerly in the Township of Nottawasaga, now in the Township of Clearview, on the basis that it meets the 4 tests in accordance with the Planning Act and with the following conditions. 1, reconstruction and expansion of a legal nonconforming use and building will proceed as shown on the attached site plan by Tatham SP1 dated September 2019. 2, that the applicants will obtain demolition permits for the 2 barns within 6 months of the date of the notice of passing. And 3, no more than 150 square meters of the barn can be reconstructed in the environmental protection zone. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Christine. Mrs. Mary LaRue, do you have any comments to add to that exceptional file that I read this afternoon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I could just go over a little bit about the Gordons and how this all came to play. The Gordons bought the property in 2006. And they've been working on improving the property and what have you. They did an addition to the house in 1998. And then there was the 2 old barns that they used for storage of farm and home equipment. The old barns were in poor shape, so they decided that they would do the new barn. So the new barn, they decided to add it on to one of the older barns because the barns were in an environmental protection zone, which then had the barns become legal nonconforming. And so the bylaw does allow for the reconstruction of legal nonconforming uses and also for them to expand. And so that was how they had submitted their plans for a building permit, which complied with the zoning bylaw. But then when they went to apply to the Niagara or the NVCA, the Conservation Authority, because it's in a fill regulated area, The Conservation Authority were concerned about the proposal because the new barn with being added onto the old barn was only 2 meters from the top of the bank of the watercourse. And so the Conservation Authority asked the Gordons if they would work with them and actually shift the barn so that it would be at least 6 meters from the top of the bank of the watercourse. Now, on the other side is a slope to the hill. So they also didn't want them encroaching into the slope as well. So the Gordons shifted the barn over to the east to be the 6 meters, but they then also moved it forward to the south so that it wouldn't go into the slope. So then the NVCA asked for their engineers to provide some drawings and elevations and everything. And they provided that to the NVCA that outlined the elevations, cross sections, as well as a building envelope, which would meet all of what the NVCA was looking for. So the NVCA are now satisfied and support the development, but they are asking for additional engineering and site plans to make sure that the slopes is going to be stabilized and that the proposed building will be flood proof. So they're asking for any mechanical or wiring to be 0.3 meters above the flood elevation. So actually, like the water course itself is more like a drainage ditch and will even sometimes dry up in the summertime. So there's no real serious flooding issues at this site. And actually the old barn at the back is actually out of the flood. It's actually, when you move closer to the south, it gets more into a bit of the flooding, but it's nothing that can't be addressed. So they just have to do the flood proofing and they have to make sure that the slope is going to be stable. And so that's what the NVCA is looking for. So they're going to be wanting more engineering and new site plans and what have you. So, but because the Gordons shifted the barn, it's not now an addition to a legal non-conforming use. It's actually relocating it. And so the zoning bylaw doesn't allow for you to relocate a legal non-conforming use. So by satisfying the NVCA, that's what led for them having to need a minor variance application. So the minor variance application is actually, because there's still some of the barn in the environmental protection area, you have to have a minor variance to allow for it to go in a new location. So the minor variance needs to meet the 4 tests. The one test is that it meets the intent of the official plan. So the county's official plan actually has the area where the barns is as designated rural. And the Clearview official plan also has that area and the whole front of the property as designated rural. So the new barns actually comply with both official plans. And so definitely meets the intent. And then when it comes to the zoning bylaw and whether or not it meets the intent of the new zoning bylaw, it's because they're making a shift to satisfy the Conservation Authority. The new barn actually did comply with the bylaw. And so because it's being shifted, it's still, and it's actually going to have less area in the EP zone because they've moved it to the south. I would say that the new proposed development is actually a better situation and would meet the intent of the zoning bylaw. And then the other test is to whether or not it's minor in nature. And so, I mean, the area was rural and it did allow for barns there. And it just makes sense that a barn would be located behind the house, like it's the best location, in my opinion. And the Conservation Authority are basically supporting the development, providing the slope stabled and it's further away from the water course. So I would say the moving of the building is minor in nature because it's really only shifting it over another 4 meters from where it was actually complying. And with respect to it being desirable and appropriate, again, it's moving it away from the water course and it's maintaining the rural character to have the barns in the location where they were and not out in front of the house or in the agricultural lands. And so I think it's a better situation and it's more desirable and appropriate to have a new barn where the old barns were located. The only other thing I would like to add is the planning report is great. It supports the minor variance and everything. However, the Gordons will have to do more engineering and new site plans to satisfy the NVCA. And so the first condition actually recommends that it be conditional on reconstruction and expansion being as shown on Tatum's site plan, dated September 2019. Well, that's actually going to change slightly. So I just wondered if the committee would be in agreement to not apply that condition. And other than that, we're just hoping the committee will support the application, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Awesome. I thank you very much for that. I do believe that Rosalind would like to say something. You are.
Sorry, I was just itching my head. But yeah, I'm here for questions if.
All right, then. Then we will proceed. Mr. Burton.
Yes, so you're asking us to remove condition number 1, which said the reconstruction expansion of the legal non-conforming use building will proceed as shown. You want that?
Condition number 1, yeah. And I had spoke to Rosalind earlier in the week, and she was okay with that.
Roslyn, you can confirm that you're okay with removing condition number 1?
Yes, through the chair. Marie and I did in fact have a discussion, and I do understand that there will be some additional works that will have to be done in order to get their building permit, they're going to have to satisfy the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority. So I am satisfied that that condition can be removed from the recommendation.
So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to put forth the motion that we amend the recommendation and we remove option number 1.
Do we have a seconder for that motion? Yes, Sean. All right, all in favor? Carried.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we've removed condition 1. Is that the end of your comments, sir, Mr. Burton?
Yeah, that's the end of my comments, and I'm prepared to move, but in case somebody else has some questions, I am prepared to move the amended recommendation.
Mr. Dave, do you have any comments?
No, I think this application looks fairly straightforward, and it seems like a good trade-off. The 2 older buildings for a much more stable, appropriate located newer building. So I have no problems.
All right. Dan, do you have any comments?
I have no issues with any part of him wanting to build that garage there. I think it's a good idea.
All right. And last but not least, Sean?
I'm in agreement with the proposal, and we'll leave it to the NVCA, the engineers, to make sure the slopes are stabilized and the creek's not impacted.
All right. Is there anyone else in attendance this evening on our Zoom meeting that wishes to include any comments before we take this to a vote? And I see no hands. So we have Mr. Burton's initial motion to accept. Do we have a seconder for said file? Yes, Dan. All in favor? Carried.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You too, Marie. I thank you very much for your participation in this evening's procedures.
You're welcome.
At this time, we have concluded our applications portion. Is there any new business, Christine?
Yes, so I had intended to add into the agenda and it slipped my mind, but I thought we could deal with it under new business. Since we're going to be entering into the new year for 2021, I wondered about the chairman's position if we wanted to look at appointing a new chair for 2021, since you've, I think, successfully gotten through your first term, Chuck, and I appreciate you taking on the role. So I didn't know if we wanted some discussion about that reappointment, or if anyone had wanted to nominate anyone, or if we had any volunteers.
I'd like to nominate Sean Davidson.
I know last year we discussed rotating them on a yearly basis, and I'd be more than happy to support Mr. Burton's nomination.
Has everyone else been the chair at some point?
No, Sean, what happened was I was the first after the new council came in. Chuck took over. Ed Christie was not particularly interested in taking a term for a year. And Steve Morfitt was not interested, but we certainly did discuss that we would share it and go for approximately a 10-month to a year term. So I think we concluded that about the first month that we were actually appointed, so 2018. So I'm in favor as well of moving things along.
Well, as the new person that's sort of been parachuted into this committee, like Dan, do you have any interest in being the chair?
Not really.
Okay, fair enough. So yes, I would.
You're
I
not
would
the
accept.
new person, Sean. You're the recycled guy.
Well, that's true.
And we had Burton last time around, and we know what he's like. So.
So yes, I'll accept I'll accept the responsibility. So I've done it before. So
Madam Chair, or I guess it's still until there's a new chair appointed. Mr. Chair, I made the motion. Can we have a seconder for that nomination and have a vote on that nomination, please?
I'll second that.
All in favor, Dan? Yep, carried. Mr. Davidson, in the new year, you will be our chairman of the committee. Congratulations on the new job.
Congratulations, Chair Davidson.
John, are you also interested in taking on the property standards?
no, you do a fabulous job, Dave.
I concur. I will second Mr. Sean's vote of confidence in you, Dave.
That's what the old guy said too, Sean. The old chair.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere in that position.
Great, thank you very much. So I just still need to maybe collect some mileage. Barry, I've got yours already, but as per Dave, I think. And Sean, would you have your mileage?
I did it in 2 separate trips. I don't know, about 22 or 23 kilometers, something like that.
Okay. I have Chuck's. And Dan, could I have yours?
42.
Perfect. That's great. I think that's all I have for new business.
And then tentatively scheduled, we are scheduled for January 13th.
Yes.
Do we have files for that date so far?
Yes, so we have the one application, the minor variance associated with the Mad River land swap that we approved, that you approved this evening, to deal with recognizing the deficiency in lot area.
All right then. So if our next meeting is tentatively scheduled, looking for a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting. Yes, Mr. Burton. And can we get a seconder on that, Dan? All in favor?